I'm in the process of creating my new urban farmstead, and this current project is the largest and most important project on the entire property. I'm building my new raised garden beds where I'll eventually be growing the majority of my year-round crops. And you'll see these beds in a lot of future videos if you're subscribed. But before I even began to build these beds, there was a lot of work that went into preparing this space. There was a lot of demolition and grading, adding irrigation and low voltage wires for future landscape lighting, and then building up a solid base for the beds that would not only prevent weeds and invasive roots from nearby trees, but also provide drainage so the pathways don't become muddy in winter. I've been creating home gardens for over 15 years now, and I've learned a lot about what works well, what doesn't, what works for a little while but doesn't necessarily last or continue to work a few years later. So now I'm drawing on everything that I've learned from all of those previous gardens to create my dream garden and share the entire process here with you. And although I'm creating raised garden beds where I'm mostly growing vegetables, all of these features can be easily adapted to work with any type of garden, regardless of what you're growing or how you're growing it. After clearing the space, the first step is grading and leveling. The space doesn't need to be completely smooth and level at this point, but it does need to be excavated low enough to account for the depth of the materials that I'll be adding to achieve my finished elevation. In this case, I'll be adding 4 inches of asphalt base, 3/4 inch of decomposed granite, and 1 inch of gravel, so I'll excavate about 6 inches below my finished elevation. I'll mark the location of each garden bed so I know exactly where to place my irrigation supply line to each one. I have 8 irrigation valves for my entire garden, but I'm only using one of them to supply these 8 beds. For the supply main, I'll dig 1 trench about 6 inches deep right down the center pathway between the beds. Irrigation lines should be placed below the surface to protect them, but they don't typically have to be placed as deep as regular water lines because this system will be off and empty in winter, so we're not concerned about placing them deep enough to insulate them from a freeze. I'll extend the trench to the corner of each bed, then line the trench with landscape fabric and fill it with gravel. The gravel is going to provide some extra drainage, and the landscape fabric prevents the gravel and the soil from mixing together over time. It's totally fine to backfill trenches with soil, but because this trench runs down the center of my pathway, this is a great opportunity for me to add additional drainage, especially with my heavy clay soil. Next, I'll install my irrigation supply main. When connecting PVC pipe, apply primer, then glue to both the male and the female pieces, covering the entire surface of the connection point. And when connecting longer pipes to fittings, hold them in place for about 10 seconds so they don't shift or back out before the glue sets. If you are installing water lines that you plan on using in winter in a cold climate, you should definitely look up your local building code to find out the appropriate depth for water lines in your area. I'm running a 1 inch main down the center with T-junctions to 3/4 inch risers going to each bed. At the end of each riser, I'll later connect a shutoff valve to a 1/2 inch flex tubing header, feeding 1/4 inch emitter lines running the length of each bed. I'll show that part of this project in a separate irrigation video with way more detail about this entire irrigation system, but what I'm installing here is a supply riser that will come up the inside corner of each bed and can be used to supply any type of irrigation system. Now it's time for the electrical work. I plan to eventually install downlights at the end of each bed to light up the pathways at night. So while I have this trench open, I'll run low voltage electrical wire to each bed. That way I can easily wire in the downlights whenever I'm ready. Electrical work can seem very intimidating if you're not an electrician, but low voltage landscape lighting is actually pretty simple to install and it adds a lot to a garden space. So even if you're thinking that it might be beyond your skill level, I'll show you just how easy it is so you can at least consider it as an option for your garden. So what I have here is wire to one bed, wire to another bed, my wire coming in from the transformer, and a wire going out to the rest of the garden. I'll start by splitting each of these wires. There's 2 wires here in each one. So if you'll notice, one wire has writing on it, the other one has no writing, but it has these fine ridges on it. So what I want to do is connect all of the wires with writing and all of the wires with ridges. So I'll start by stripping all of the wires that have ridges on them. I'm just going to remove about an inch of the covering. Now that I've got all 4 of my wires with ridges exposed, I'll just twist these together. I'll put on a wire nut. Now, because this will be submerged under the ground and there'll be a lot of moisture in there, I'm covering them with a cap specially designed to be outside and exposed to water, so it's full of a gel. So what I do is I'll push it all the way in here. You can see this gel coming out. So that goes all the way in there. And you can see this gel right here. That's just going to keep the moisture out, because eventually that moisture would corrode the wire and we would not have a solid connection very long. Now I'll just close that up tight, and that one's done. So now I've got 4 more wires here. I'll do the same thing with these wires. These are all the ones with writing on them. So I'll strip them, connect them, and cap them. When I install the actual lights to these beds and the rest of the landscape, I'll make a separate video showing the entire landscape lighting installation process from start to finish. But this is really the most complex part of the whole process, and as you can see, it's pretty simple. To recap, what I have here is 1 wire coming from my supply, connecting to 1 wire that will eventually go to a downlight at this bed, and then another wire going to a downlight at this bed, and then this wire continuing into the garden so I can attach more lighting further down the line. By now you've probably noticed this beautiful hedgerow growing on the north side of my garden. It makes a great privacy screen, and because it's on the north aspect, it doesn't block any of the sunlight from my garden. But it does pose one big potential hazard: its roots. Once the beds are in, the roots from this hedge are going to want to grow into this rich, irrigated soil, and that will not make the vegetables growing in these beds very happy at all. So the solution is to shield these beds from the invasive roots of this hedge and other nearby trees by installing a root block barrier. These barriers come in rolls and panels, and I was able to find both of them at my local landscape supply store, but I've also added a link to these and the other products I use for this project in the video description below. Once again, I could just backfill this trench with soil, but I'm using landscape fabric and gravel to create more drainage around the perimeter of the garden. Next, I'll build a retaining wall using 3-foot steel stakes as supports and 2x12 rot-resistant redwoods for the walls. These steel stakes are commonly used in concrete work, and they have holes pre-drilled in them, which makes them really easy to attach the boards to them with a few deck screws. I'm continuing the trench and wall along the west side of the garden that borders the orchard, which sits about 10 inches above the vegetable garden. So I'll also be adding a step down into the garden later on. I use this string and line level a lot for this project to create straight lines and level surfaces. The root barrier here will protect the garden beds from roots of the fruit trees. I'm cutting a bunch of 4-foot T-posts in half for supports for this wall because they're cheaper than the concrete stakes and they should work just about as well. Next, I'll install landscape fabric over the entire pathway surface. This is a woven material, so it will allow air, water, and soil microbes to pass through, but it prevents the pathway materials from mixing with the soil below. If you don't use a barrier for pathways between gravel and soil, they will mix together over time, resulting in muddy, messy pathways. But it is important to be sure that the material you use is permeable. You want air, water, and soil microbes to be able to go through it, so don't use a solid plastic like Visqueen. As an experiment, I am covering the surface below 2 of the garden beds, but otherwise I'm only using this landscape fabric for the pathways, and I'm covering the surface between the other 6 beds with cardboard. And I'm doing this because I had a lot of invasive weeds like Bermuda grass and yellow nutsedge growing in this space before installing this garden, so I want to be sure I have something to block any remaining seeds or roots from those weeds, and then the cardboard will eventually break down over time, exposing the beds to the soil below, which is always ideal. You could certainly use old cardboard boxes to save money, but I'm using this ram board and it's working well for me. And if you don't have invasive weeds in your space, I would just leave the bottom of your beds completely open to the soil below. I'm covering the pathways with asphalt base and the base of the beds with a 50-50 mix of topsoil and compost. Asphalt base, sometimes called road base, is a mixed aggregate that can be compacted to create a stable but permeable surface. In addition to suppressing weeds, this rock layer will also add drainage, keeping the pathways from flooding in winter. I'm using a 4-inch base here, which should be sufficient for most pathways, but if you're using this as a base for concrete pavers in a northern region that experiences hard freezes, you'd want more like 6 to 8 inches to account for expansion of freezing groundwater. On the south side of the garden, I'm just installing a temporary edge to contain the gravel. I'll use string and line level once more, checking and adjusting the grade and slope of the entire space. I plan to build one long, low bed along this south border, but this bender board will act as a temporary barrier until I get to that project. Before compacting, I'll wet down the entire space so it's moist, but not overly wet and soggy. If it's too wet or too dry, it will not compact properly. I rent a plate compactor for large projects like this, but if you had a smaller space or if you want more exercise and you're not sore enough yet, you could certainly use a hand tamper. This is the sub-base layer for my pathways, which I'll be finishing with a thin layer of pea gravel. But I don't want to put that gravel directly onto this asphalt base because although it's compacted, there are still some large rocks on the surface that will work their way up into that pea gravel. So I'll lock in those larger rocks with a thin base layer of DG or decomposed granite. These 3/4 inch PVC pipes help me easily screed an even 3/4 inch layer of DG over the entire surface. At this point, you could also use DG as the final layer for your surface if that's the material that you like, but you would want it a little bit thicker, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I've created DG pathways for a few of my previous gardens and absolutely loved it. Just be sure you create that good drainage layer, otherwise you're gonna have a muddy mess. Once again, I'll spray it down so it's moist but not muddy. Then I'll tamp the edges and compact the entire space. And after that, I built these garden beds, filled them with soil, added irrigation, finished off the pathways with pea gravel, and I'm making videos showing all of those other steps in this process. This is just the first video in this series, and it's just one of many videos on my channel showing how I'm creating my new urban farmstead from a blank slate. I've already installed my orchard. My next project that I'm underway with right now is creating a subtropical food forest in Northern California. Many more videos coming up soon. So if you like this one, hit that like button. If you want to see those upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions at all about my garden or your garden, ask them in the comments below. Happy gardening, everyone.